Sometimes we're not as mature as we think we are. And today I wanted to talk about some questions we can ask ourselves to see if we are operating from a more mature adult space or if we're unconsciously slipping back into the behaviors of our child self, our teenage self, or our young adult self. This is no negative judgment if that happens to be the case. These are just some questions to help us reflect so that we can be clear on who's actually speaking. Because sometimes it's hard to distinguish. So first I'm going to talk about 3 ways you can tell that you're not actually functioning as your mature, individuated, actualized adult self, where you're taking full responsibility and accountability and ownership for where you are in life, the choices you have made, including what you have allowed. One way is if you find that you are still blaming someone else for what is occurring in your life today. And if you are, this does not mean that there's something wrong with you. We're simply assessing who's speaking. So a good way to know if you are not actually functioning as a full-blown adult is if you are blaming someone else for where you are right now. You're blaming them for how you feel. You're blaming them for what you have accomplished or have not been able to accomplish. You're blaming them for your discomfort, for your lack of resources. If you're blaming someone else for where you are right now, then you are not in the present functioning as your whole, mature and responsible, fully actualized adult self. Number 2, how to know if you are not functioning as your adult self. Number 2, if you feel so ashamed of what you have chosen, what you have allowed, what you have done, that you keep it a big secret hidden away from everyone, instead of using what you know about yourself to get the proper assistance. Being overly independent can often be a trauma response. And if you learned early in life that you couldn't depend on anyone, when you had feelings, you were too sensitive, too emotional, too weak, you may have internalized that. And now as an adult, you have so much guilt and shame around needing that once you have been able to assess, and you're not blaming anyone outside of yourself, but you're blaming yourself. And by blaming yourself, it's keeping you from getting the help you need, keeping secrets that don't need to be kept. Then you are still not functioning as the actualized adult that you are. Number 3, you haven't learned how to recognize the patterns in your life. You are unable to infer when you're in a situation how this situation may have shown up before so that you can recognize it and change it. Oftentimes, when we have not fully matured, when we have not fully learned to be in a safe adult space, our traumas and our experiences will take us on a loop-de-loop. I call it the conflict carousel, where we don't see the patterns and we just keep doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting different results. Because then it takes us back to expecting other people to change, hence why we blame them, or being mad at ourselves because we haven't learned how to change it yet. So now we feel guilty and ashamed, and instead of getting the help that we're supposed to get, we keep it to ourselves. These are just some signs that you are not actually functioning from a mature space, no matter how mature you might think you are and how immature you might think other people are.